Okay, good evening once again. Welcome to BCL Beyond the Boundary with myself, Simon Booth. And this evening I've got a very special guest with me in Ronnie Irani, ex-Essex and England. Ronnie Irani, how are you, Ron?
All right, Simon, don't forget Lancashire. Did you say Lancashire then?
I think I threw it in, yeah. You didn't quite hear it.
Brilliant. Have you been doing this all week?
But yeah, I've had loads of different people on with the interviews so far. So really appreciate you taking a bit of time out to speak to me.
Okay. No problem.
So obviously we've got a bit of a rough agenda to work to, and we'll talk about you starting off your cricket. But first things first, I want you to sort of introduce yourself, where you started, and then we'll start with your junior cricket.
Right, introduction. So my name is Ronnie Irani, former Lancashire, Essex and England cricketer. I was born into the amphitheatre of Bolton cricket. I played all my cricketing in the Bolton League, mainly when it comes to local cricket. My dad was Jimmy Irani, who started his cricketing career off at Kersley when he was over here in the Bolton League in the 60s. He played Kersley. And then from Kersley, he went over to Atherton in the Bolton Association. And then from Atherton, I spent a bit of time, one season at Edgeworth. And then after Edgeworth, he went to Daisy Hill. I think that was around about 1973, 74. And I'd sort of come along then and then started to follow my dad as a 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old. And then my dad, I think in 70, I think he won the Cross Cup with Edgeworth in his 1 year. I think he got, I do know what he got because I've seen the scrapbook and many times he got 50 not out. I think won Edgeworth the game, and he loved his time there. He had a great time there for one season. And Kersley had a wonderful time. They welcomed him at Kersley. Loved his time there. Well, wherever my dad's gone, he's enjoyed his cricket. And then he went to Daisy Hill because he was offered the captaincy. Well, he was vice captain first year, I believe, and then he was offered the captaincy in 1974. And then he won the league 3 years on the trot, 74, 75, 76. 1975, he had a decent overseas player by the name of Javid Mirdad, who put my first school uniform on when I went to Smithell School in Bolton. First day at school, I was holding a cricket bat for the picture, and Javid was putting my school uniform on. That was, I don't know, was that 75 probably? Must have been because he went over 74, 75, maybe 76. He was pro then. And yeah, there were some fabulous players that my dad had, overseas players as well as local stars as well. Your dad being one, Larry Booth, who was a fantastic cricketer. He was an idol to me, certainly. And I'm not just saying that because you're videoing and doing this Zoom conference, Simon. Your dad was just an absolute, he was a gun. In league cricketing terms, absolute gun. He opened the ball in and he batted wherever you wanted. And my dad always used to come home and say to him and said, "Oh, I wish I only had 10 Larry Booths." And he used to eat a bit, but I wouldn't say there was 10 of him at once. He used to drink plenty as well. No, he used to drink more than eat, I think.
He told me he didn't drink.
Who, Larry? But he used to, yeah, he was a top guy. And he was an absolute gun, and we used to just eat. Larry Booth, if it was there to eat, he used to eat it out of the ground, and he was a massive entertainer, and just a wonderful bloke, to be fair, to watch as a young cricketer up and coming. So I used to, pack your dad's kit bag, go and get his fags from local shop. I was probably about 8-year-old by then. Me and Gary used to go and get his cigarettes, and it was, it was a great days, crazy times, but great days. And everyone would be shocked now. It was like an 8-year-old going getting somebody some cigarettes. It was like, but it was the thing. It was a wonderful era to follow your dad playing cricket. It really was for me, and that gave me a taste, I think, to want to, fulfill to be a professional cricketer.
Well, they had a fabulous side at Daisy Hill, and obviously back then, I've all the names. I've heard every single name. I was just, unfortunate.
Jeff Shuttleworth, and when it comes to obviously playing cricket with these guys' sons, I would play on the sideline with them, and their dads would be smacking 6s and 4s and winning trophies for Daisy Hill. I was so lucky to be around that scene of some international superstar cricketers, proper. arguably some of the best local amateurs playing for my dad's side, and winning trophies and seeing success. And it just gave me a little bit of a taste for, you know, what I wanted to do in cricket. And, you know, I'd spend time, like many a person's kit bag would be in my dad's bag, and they'd store it at my mum and dad's house, and I'd clean all their bats, pads, boots, whether it be the pros, whether it's your dad's bat, Jeff Shuttleworth's gear sometimes. But I think Jeff used to take it home mainly. But the pros gear, my dad's, he used to clean all the gear like Monday to Friday before the next after. Because these guys, they didn't really practice on a Tuesday, Thursday, your Larry Boos and your Jeff Shuttleworths, because they were too good. They didn't need to. And it was amazing. Their attitude was fantastic. They were absolute winners, but they played it hard on and off the field, and they socialised. They spent time with one another. You know, Christmas parties were around your cricket team. It was amazing. I had an amazing childhood, and I'm ever so grateful for my father for, you know, having me involved, getting people drinks, getting them the fags, going getting the beer after the game, you know, making sure that the kit was clean or whatever. I was fortunate and ever so grateful to be brought up in that environment. That would never happen now. They probably call it child slavery, but I loved it. You know, so from that aspect, so grew up watching that. Then I was obviously half decent junior team. So my local club, my dad moved. I was born in Leigh, first maternity in Leigh, and we lived in Atherton, just by the railway. And then my dad saw a house backing onto Eton Cricket Club, and he just went for it. And you know, he got himself a bit of a mortgage. It was not too bad. He was a hard-working fella, my old man, and he went for this house just because nobody else wanted it, right next to the cricket club at Heaton. That would get peppered with cricket balls, as you can imagine, smashed windows, broken tiles. And my dad bought it in a celebration, hopeful that people would pepper his house with cricket balls. Unbelievable. Yeah. And that's why he's always got on with the committee at Heaton, because, you know, I never complained, and, you know, they replaced the tiles, and you know, Warwick Milne and the guys at Heaton there have been fantastic. I mean, my dad's he's just pro cricket, and he don't care whoever's playing it. Oh, massively. So he bought the house. I was young, like you said, maybe 4 or 5 years old. So we moved from Alderton when I was a kid, and then that's when Jarvin made other people that stayed at our house. You overseas pro generally stayed at the captain's house, and they put them up all summer.
Yeah.
And all these pros were coming and going all the time. I can remember even Jarvin Mirdad. It must have been 1976 maybe, where he'd had a couple of trials. My dad had encouraged him to get trials at counties because he was coming up. And he got a trial at Sussex. He got a double 100, and this guy turned up on our driveway and opened the door, and my dad sort of said, you know, let this guy in. He's an England captain. And I went, right, okay. I was only a kid. I was 5 years old, 5, 6 years old. I can remember him coming in, though, honestly. And it was Tony Gregg. Tony Gregg came to the house because he wanted to sign Javed Mirdad, and my dad was bargaining and saying, well, I've got a contract that he's signed as a pro, but he knew he was going to let him go. But he was like, he wanted some money back for the club. And a
replacement. And a couple of replacements.
Yeah, kind of negotiating. It was strange to me. I didn't really know what was going on from that aspect, but I just remember Tony Gregg turned up at our house to sign Javed Mirdad, and it was like, really, I was kind of born into the world of cricket. It was mad. And so then I did okay as a junior player, playing for Heaton. I think I made my under-13s debut when I was 6, 7 years old. We had an overseas player called Rocky Davis, who was an Australian who'd come over, and I don't know whether he did well or not, because I was a young kid who was coached by him and others who were fantastic. One thing at Heaton, they always had an amazing setup for coaching, and I still hear about that now. And you know, the Friday nights were 120 kids on a Friday night, and I think it's been like that for. There may be more, maybe doing them injustice, but anything between 100 and 120 kids I can remember on that square, on that outfield on a Friday night. Just as many of the seniors on a Tuesday night. You know, Thursday was under 15s, and you worked around the nets, around the matches, and you know, the people that used to watch, and then you know, then the rounders would be on, and it was just full on. It was wonderful times growing up as a young kid, as a young lad. You know, playing and practicing, you know, junior cricket at Heaton Cricket Club, because we had fabulous support. The facilities were okay for practice. They were absolutely fine. And Heaton always invested in, I don't know whether they had the first AstroTurf pitch, but I think that was the making of me as a cricketer. There was no doubt about it.
I was just going to say, obviously, you were thrust into it at an early age, and obviously a lot younger than the rest of. The question I was going to ask you: at what age did you sort of realise that you had a talent for the game?
I think naturally at my own age group, I was always kind of streets ahead. But I made my first team debut when I was about 11, 12 years old, and that was against Rod Essex. You know, I batted 9 or 10. I think I was supposed to bat 11, but they put me in at 10 because they didn't want me, you know, look that sad, really. And I think Rod Essex, I think he bowled a half volley or just a length ball. And for me, I was like fending it off my nose. And the first ball I'd got a bit of a bat on it, a fine leg, and I was off the mark my first ball. It was quite incredible that I played, you know. And I've no fear. I just went out and played 11-year-old against men, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I kind of never looked back. And then the following year, played a lot of second team cricket. Like I said, just relating back to Heaton and from that 6, 7 years old under 13s, Jack Taylor was the manager, and they coached on a Friday night. And the Friday nights were phenomenal. It was a big, big thing in your calendar, practice night at Heaton. It really was. And then Tuesdays were the senior nights. And I sort of progressed up the ranks, obviously under 13s. I was playing under 15s and under 18s probably while I was, I'm guessing now a little bit, 11, 12 years old. I mean, if I was playing first team at 12, yeah, I was playing under 18s, probably at 10, 11, 12 with real close buddies and pals like David Ishwood and Peter Cross and all the guys there. Phil Roberts was a massive influence on me. He was a wonderful man and a great coach, a real cricket enthusiast. And I used to see Big Phil when I was a kid smacking the ball onto Mossbank Park and, you know, hitting the ball, and it used to hit the finisher's door and ring the door. And I think he hit St. Peter's Church, the bells once. I think he rung the bell, you see that far. But he was a tremendous character. Tony Shaw, who Eric's dad, sadly Eric's not with us anymore, but Tony Shaw they just had an enthusiasm for kids playing cricket. And I think that's the biggest asset for Bolton League cricket and Bolton Association cricket. I still relate it to Bolton League and Bolton Association. That's what I grew up with, and that's what I was fond of and loved it. I love talking about it. But the biggest thrill for me was that the people in the Bolton area had this real enthusiasm for cricket. And initially, to start with, it was about youngsters playing cricket, kids playing cricket. It was like a social aspect. And if you teach your kids cricket, maybe the odd one would go on and play professionally for Lancashire and England if you were lucky. And great. But that's not what it's about. What it's about is engaging the social aspect and teaching you social skills on how to behave as a human being, how to behave as an individual, how to respect authority, even if they're wrong. It doesn't matter. You know, I think early on once I was maybe 9, 10 years old, and I was disappointed with a certain decision I got given me. My dad gave me a proper, I was 10 years old, and he said, doesn't matter if the umpire says out, you respect that. And my dad's always been that way. Listen, my dad's always been a winner, and he's always seeked such trophies and success. But one thing is, he's never undermined authority. But, I mean, he's always bowed his head, and even if he was disappointed himself at certain decisions. But I got really put right at 10-year-old, and I never ever questioned. I may look up, I may have been disappointed, I might have gone to the dressing room at times disappointed, but I never ever showed disrespect or, you know, certainly toward umpires or people who ran the game, because I was taught that way. And it was wonderful. And that's what cricket does. That's what cricket's about. It's a social aspect of teaching you how to behave in the real world as a decent human being. And that's what we've got brought up with the Heaton. It was strict. At times, you know, you knew not to walk on the square at certain times during the week. You knew, you know, nowadays, you see people riding bikes across squares, don't you? And it's it just would never have been done. Not just would your Tony Shaws and your Phil Roberts chase. And if they got older, you'd know about it, even though they were fair. But, you know, you as kids, I remember as maybe 8, 9-year-old, chasing people off the square at Heaton, obviously with older ones who were teenagers who could, but I just follow them and all, you know, we just sort people out verbally, obviously.
Why do you think that's gone by the wayside? Do you think it's a cricket thing, or do you think it's a society thing?
I think it's a society thing in general, and I think cricket and sports in general have bowed down to people's attitude. And I think, actually, to be fair, I think cricket has led the way in compared to compared to other sports.
Yeah.
Cricket's far better off compared to other sports, and the discipline aspect, the support that, if a guy's giving his time out to umpire the league, and he gets something wrong, and a player is not happy, and he abuses that umpire, or he says something slightly off towards that umpire, I think we let players get away with it. And the umpire, no, it doesn't matter. If the umpire gets it wrong, it doesn't matter if you're playing for England, whether you're playing for Essex, whether you're playing for Lancashire, whether you're playing for Heaton. You accept that, and then you go and prove a point and get him out again. Or if you're given out and it ends your day because you've worked all week, you got a bad decision. Listen, the umpires, what I've come across, have been wonderful people in the Bolton area, and I think the lack of respect to individuals, because I don't know, like you said, maybe it's a society thing, Simon. I don't really know. I don't want to comment. I've been away from Bolton now for 30 years.
Yeah.
And from that aspect, I don't really know. But I do see still fantastic talent in the area. I see amazing clubs with wonderful history and tradition. It's a shame there's been this sort of breakaway, but I guess things evolve and things move on and things progress. And if it's for the better of the game, then naturally support. It's not my area anymore. I'm in Essex. I live in Essex, and I was born and bred in Lancashire. But as somebody said to me, born in Lancashire but made in Essex. I thought, maybe a little bit of that.
Not far off. Well,
not far off.
Obviously, you turned pro at a very early age, so I want to sort of drill down into your cricket a little bit now. So I think you turned pro at 16. Is that right?
I think so. It was 16 or 17.
16 or 17. So
I played, I think, my first proper season. So from making my debut against Rod Eswick, about 11, 12 years old, I did 2 years in the second team. David Bramwell was my captain. I had Chris Nail on. Again, Luke Pearson, David Isher, my mate, Peter Cross. I had a fabulous couple of years in the second team. He really was. Jack Taylor, batting with people like that. And those who fell out with the first team used to come into the second team and play with us. And I had an awesome 2 years playing second team cricket, against some real like proper, not nasty, but competitive individuals. Inksy, people like that were just really on you all the time. There was a guy, I remember, Little Lever. Remember, is Hilty still playing?
Hilty's still playing, yeah.
He was real but I loved him because he woke me up. You know what I mean? He used to be really competitive. There was the Settles at Little Lever.
Tony,
mainly, Anthony was the oldest. I'm getting them mixed up now. I'm losing my brain. There was Tony Settle, who was obviously a top opening bat, and then the younger Settle. Was it Simon or Stephen? Ian Settle. Of course it was. It was Ian. Apologies, Ian, if he does listen. He was a brilliant cricketer. There was some fabulous young talent that I can reel off to you here, Simon. People would never have heard of. There was a lad at Tongue called Voles, who was an unbelievable talent. Warwick May at Kersley. Was it Warwick May? I think it was Warwick May. He had a Newbury bat looking like Mike Gattin. And it was like, when you go around the circuit of individuals, it was tough. It was really, really tough cricket I'm talking now, under 13s, naturally. Bradshaw used to have the best facilities and the best team under 13s. Yeah. I don't know, they probably still have. Under 15s, again, was tough. Tong, Carl Cricken, Warren Egg. I think we even pitched up at Tong against the guy called Rod Sparrow. Was he at Tong first? And then I think he went to Kersley. But there was I'm probably getting mixed up with loads of names and clubs, but these were the individual names I know, but I'm just trying to remember which club they played at. But overall, I mean, you had the Smiths at Kersley and obviously Paul Berry.
Paul Berry, yeah.
At Kersley, you had obviously likes of, it was just ongoing. Kersley was the best pitch, but, it was a fabulous time. Really, really good when it comes to a young guy coming through the ranks, playing junior cricket, which was so competitive. My memories are phenomenal, but I generally played, Simon, to be honest, it was just youth cricket for me. The Bolton area is about playing, junior cricket. I was just fortunate in that aspect to have the opportunity to play against so good players. Honestly, I could name you going back. If you reeled off every club, which I need a bit of support on that, I'm getting older, and I'm older than you. Memory loss kicks in. If you named every club, I could name you like 2 or 3 top young players that I used to come against.
Yeah.
That some of them might not even think I know the name, but every one of them you do remember. You really do. So I mean, Stephen Davis, obviously at Kersley, and you know, you had some fabulous players. I mentioned that lad Warwick May, and just some really. I mean, Frank Baldwin at Tong was just a legend of a godfather. He used to get all the best players, and it was just a wonderful era. I mean, Astley Bridge, he always had a good track, and Dean Moore would pelt me around at 16, 17-year-old, hitting me onto the road, and you know, and then the Warrens. You had Phil Warren, obviously senior, who was a fabulous cricketer in his day, and then Phil Warren Jr. And then there was loads of blimey, Astlebridge had masses of young cricketers who were so talented that I'm embarrassed to almost you know, Mickey Gwilt was a fabulous little keeper. I don't know if he's still around playing or not. You know, but from the aspect of put a club to me and I'll name you a top junior player that I come against. Yeah. All of them were phenomenal.
A phenomenal era, really. And obviously, I've interviewed, you know, probably 20 people now up and down. And it's funny you mentioned about your debut and Rod Eswick, because I had Rod on the other week and this has gone out. And so, you know, all the names keep
in Social Circle had an average junior team. Their junior sides were not there, but the first team was phenomenal. They used to win trophies every year. And there was always this sort of strange aspect of, as a young kid growing up, you come against the big clubs that were winning first team because you followed it. You looked in the newspapers on a Monday, Tuesday. You followed them, and then when after that you come against them as a junior, they were probably the worst junior side on the park.
Yeah.
Sorry, the best junior side the worst junior side on the park. They were the best first team senior men. Yeah, but when it comes to the juniors, who had the best junior team, probably usually had the worst first team.
Yeah.
And it was sad, really, from that aspect, because you expect youngsters to come through and take over. I think the exception to the rule for that was probably Horwich.
Yeah.
Horwich with your David White, your Spenny, wicketkeeper.
Yeah.
Martin Spencer, he was a gem, he was. Oh, he used to give you some lip, but he was fair. He was good. He was a
childhood hero of mine, Spenny, to be fair.
His floppy hat.
Proper idol.
But he was, there was Spencer. Who else was the opening ball? Was it Knowles? Was he called Knowles?
Yeah.
Knowlesy? So you're much younger than me.
I know. But a phenomenal era, and obviously all these players have obviously shaped and moulded
Alan Bannister bowled against us. He was 15. He was 7 foot whatever.
Yeah.
He bowled out for 20.
Played in the NBA, didn't he? Played for Utah Jazz. So 7'4", weren't he, Alan Bannister?
That's right. Was he 7'4", was he?
Yeah, top man. Obviously, his brother Chris as well. And so, I mean, obviously, you're pulling all the names.
Honestly, Simon, if you mentioned every club to me, I could reel off every single one. Had fantastic junior players from under 13s, under 15s, under 18s. That a lot of them, sadly, didn't go on and play first team cricket.
Yeah.
A lot of them did, but some didn't. And for whatever reason, I don't know why that is. Maybe opportunity in their first team wasn't of it. Other things do kick in, don't they? Family and some people take up golf and that. But hey, I was really lucky. I was brought up in an incredible era, and money was starting to come in for top pros as well in the Bolton League. They generally had good pros anyway, and the competition. It was about the pros as well. It was about the pros. Listen, local players, pick up a little bit of boot money and stuff. And good luck to them. That's fine. I mean, each to their own on that. I guess from that aspect for me, whatever club spent on the professional and players, I just wish they'd spend that on the facilities and the practice facilities. And
absolutely.
But, you know, they can only afford so much. And I guess people want success, don't they? And I get that.
You never know. There might come a bit of rules or governance around that. You know, in the future, making people spend.
They've tried all that. You know, they've tried all. Making them spend it on the league. Facilities would be good, but I get it. I totally get it.
There's supposed to be a bit of criteria coming out soon with regards to facilities and covers and sight screens and the rest. So, you know, it can only be good for the area if that, you know,
Simon,
that
I was
comes out.
lucky. I went on and played professionally, right? I was fortunate. I was privileged. So I was lucky in that aspect massively.
How did you
But
get
I
into the
will not
pro
forget.
game?
But I'll
Sorry.
never forget my youth being brought up, you know, learning about the game of cricket. That's been one of the biggest thrills of my life. I've played cricket for England and I've toured the world. And one of my biggest thrills of my life, one of my fondest memories, is playing junior cricket and learning about the game in the Bolton area. I mean that sincerely, absolutely. And then as you progress, you put things right alongside it. But you know, that'll never be beneath anything. It'll always be alongside other stuff that I've enjoyed throughout my game, and it's been good. Sorry, you were saying?
No, it's all right. So a quick timeline of your sort of career. So obviously, you know, we've started with Bolton Junior Cricket, and then you turned pro very, very young. Give me a potted version of your professional career.
Yeah, when we said about making my debut at 12-year-old against Rod Essex, I played 2 years in the second team till about 14. And then they wanted me to play first team cricket at Heaton. And I think I had my first year at 14. I think I had 2 years, 2 full seasons. And I got some really good scores. I had a fabulous time at 14, 15 playing first team cricket. Might have been 15 or 16. I can't remember, around about that age. And Lyndon Joseph, I remember running in for Tong and me smacking and hitting Tommy Holt's car and breaking a few windows and hitting. There used to be a Spa opposite as well. I remember watching Dion Dublin hitting the ball from Tong Cricket Club, blimey, end up in Bolton Town Centre against a friend of ours called David Walsh, Wobbling Walsh. He used to smash it, didn't he, Dion Dublin? And so from 14, 15, 16, playing a couple of years in the first team. 1 year, couple of years, I did okay, got some good runs. I was progressing, got a few wickets. And then my, I guess, representative cricket was still continuing with Lancashire from 13 through to 15. And then 16. I was at Smithers School, and then I turned professional when I left school at 16. So I signed professional contracts at 16-year-old. And then during that time, it was encouraged that I'd be a professional player within a team, but I was only 16, 17 years old. And I was fortunate and very lucky that like 3 or 4 clubs came into me to be the pro. Well, you know, I wasn't going to match up to these great test stars that were in, like Mark Taylor and people like that. And, you know, some big names, but I was lucky that people wanted me to, you know, professional at their club. And Eagly came in for me, and it was an honour really, just to be professional. You know, it was a little bit of money. It wasn't, you know, mega, but it was the opportunity and the chance to actually be a professional that I got a thrill out of, if I was being honest, at 16, 17 years. I think I would have been 17 years old. And I did that for Eagly. Had a brilliant time. Fantastic club. Great facilities when it comes to the pitch, and I don't know what it's like now, but the people there were just exceptional. You know, David Seddon, his lad Martin, that played junior football with at Horwich RMI, that became Lee RMI, obviously. And no, it was great for 1 year, and I did okay. Yeah. I was 17 years old, and you know, I didn't break any pots or anything like that. But I was coming up against other pros, so it was me. I was a pro of Eagly, coming up against world-class international cricketers, and I had to do something. So I did okay, and then I was lucky enough that my own club, Heaton, came in for me for 1 season. I came in and pro'd for them. I didn't do all that well, I don't think. I did okay, but if I'm being honest with you, by that time, when I turned professional, when I was 17 at Lancashire, my first season being a professional cricketer, I used to get to my weekend club and I used to want to go and enjoy it and have a few beers with the lads maybe and just enjoy it. And they wanted me to do that, but I was knackered. I was absolutely knackered, and I wasn't prepared for it physically or mentally, because I'd usually practice or play Monday to Friday with Lancashire, like full on. And then I get on the Saturday, I mean, and I'm paying for it now. I had my first knee surgery when I was 17, 18, because I was trying to play league cricket that I loved, and obviously wanted to carve out a career playing for Lancashire, as a professional cricketer. It was just too much. I was playing 7 days a week and practicing probably, 8, 9, 10, 12 sessions a week. I was doing double sessions as well and all sorts. And I thought, if I did loads more, it would work. And it does sometimes, but sometimes you can overdo it. And I did. I had my first knee surgery, like I said, when I was 18, actually. I got picked for a Young England tour of New Zealand, and my knee was just blown up at Lancashire. I was a young kid. And a lot of people thought that was going to be it. And in my career, because I put everything into, I guess, my junior life, my club life, and I started my professional outing, and it was all going to sort of fall out of shape because of injury. But luckily enough, it never did, and I managed to play for 20 years professionally. So I was lucky.
Obviously, you've had a long and decorated career, and obviously, you started at Lancs, and then you've ended up at Essex, and again, you've had a fantastic and very successful career down there. Why Essex? I think people want to know, why did you end up at Essex?
So naturally, as a Lancashire lad, I wanted to play for Lancashire. That was a dream, and I was fortunate enough to do that. And then I went on and played England under 19s, and I got man of the series. And I was playing against people like Damien Martin, Adam Gilchrist, Michael Kaspovich, Greg Blewett, and I got man of the series. And I looked at the few guys in my team. So it was myself and John Crawley, who was captain. There was a guy called Mike Lathwell, Mal Loy, who went to play for Lancashire, but he was at Northants at the time. I just looked around that under 19 dressing room, and a lot of them were just made their debuts for their counties. And I wasn't even in like the frame. I was not even considered. And I thought, oh, okay. So I was 19, so then 20 the following season, and I got really no opportunity to play second team cricket for 1 or 2 years. And then I just thought to myself, you know what, I need to move if I'm going to be successful. Because I'm going to sit here at Lancashire in the second team for a few years. I've seen other people do it as well. And that last season with Lancashire, I saw some really good cricketers like Dexter Fitton and people like that get released by Lancashire, having spent most of their life there. An opportunity never came, and I looked at them and I thought, you know what, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna make a break now, and if I do succeed, then great. If I don't, at least I've tried. They say, and I just wanted to give it a go. So Lancashire offered me a 2-year deal, but you couldn't really go just like that. You had to be list 1 or list 2. And if you were list 1, only so many counties were allowed to sign so many list 1 players a year. Right. And if I was on a list 1, I wasn't proven. But Lancashire didn't want to let me go, even though I wasn't in the team. So they put me on a list 1 to put all the counties off. And I spoke to Essex, and they said, would take a chance on list 1, but we prefer you on list 2. So I had a chat with the club, because I had a bit of chat about me, and I went to Lancashire, and the chief exec was a lady called Rose Fitzgibbon. I think she was chief exec then at the time. And I had a chat with her. She said, listen, we'll speak to the committee. Jack Simmons was fantastic. Jack was amazing. Chairman Bob Bennett, actually, to be fair, I went into his office, and I'd spoke to Durham. So Durham were up for it. I was probably going to go there. They offered me really good money. I think they offered me about 18 or 20 grand. Like, it was big money back in the day. And I was nobody. I hadn't done anything. And then Glamorgan had a chat with us, but nothing really had happened there. Kent, I think Bob Woolmer was at Kent, and he'd approached us. Derbyshire had mentioned there was nothing really concrete from them. And then I saw Essex. I saw one of the committee members at Old Trafford, because there was England 19s there, Graham Saville, who was in charge of England 19s at the time. And he pulled me and says, oh, how's it going at Leicester? I said, well, I'm not getting it. He says, well, we'll have you at Essex. Just a throwaway line. Yeah. And I went into the chairman's, Bob Bennett's office, and he said, oh, so you want to leave, do you? And he was like, nobody leaves Lancashire. We're a big club. You want to leave, do you? And he said, and I said, well, I just think an opportunity. He said, I love this club, Bob. I'm not going to leave under a cloud. I said, but I need to move. You've got some fabulous cricketers. You've got Mike Watkinson, who was a Bolton lad, obviously. Yeah. It was a fit bloke. If Mike weren't as fit, I probably would have stayed, because Mike carried on until he was like 52, didn't he? It was like, but he was 31, I think, at the time, and super fit, still doing well. In fact, it might have been older than that. It might have been 33, 35. But there was no moving him. So there was Mike Watkinson. Philip de Freitas was still there, albeit he did leave the same season as me. Because he tried to, that was it, he tried to tighten up for Derbyshire. Ian Austin, obviously bowling all-rounders-ish, like Glenn Chaplin and stuff, but mainly bowlers. But I was a batting all-rounder.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get in because there was de Freitas, obviously still there. I know he left. Wasim Akram, naturally, was a great bowler.
Different class,
yeah. I mean, it was just a top squad, and I couldn't see myself going in. And weirdly enough, when I'd mentioned to a couple of my mates, Jason Gallion and John Crawley, we discussed contracts, and it went, Jason Gallion and John Crawley got offered good contracts, and my contract weren't as good as theirs. So I thought, I'm right down the pecking order here then. I've got to go. So we talk about money, when it's your job, it's a different ball game, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
So then I went into the chairman's office, Bob Bennett, and he said, right, I believe you want to leave. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, I'm not getting off. I love this club, Bob. Listen, I just need to move on and just see if I can make it in the game. Well, you know, you're a top cricketer. We don't want to see you go and give it all this. And I said, yeah, fine. He said, but your mind's made up in it. He said, who's coming for you? And I went, well, Bob, you know, I can't really. He said, well, no, who's coming for you? Like, you know, I want to know. And I went, well, I thought, I can't lie here. So I said, well, Durham have, right? Because you're not allowed to approach players unless, you know, you couldn't tell your chairman unless you really trusted him. And I trusted Bob Bennett. So I reeled through them all, Durham, and I didn't say Derbyshire, I don't think, because I was just daffy, just mentioning, would you join us? So I couldn't really get away with that. But I did get away with Essex. So, and Essex have been in for me. And it was just a chat with the England under-19 manager on the committee. They don't approach me, they don't offer me anything. I said, Essex have, and he went, right, Essex have they? And I said, yeah. He went, right, okay, well, it makes it a little bit different. I went, well, why is that then? He said, because they're a top side. They're a proper club, and they're the only team of all you've mentioned that could affect us winning things in the future. And I went, but what's that got to do with me? They want to sign me, and I'm not getting in a Lancashire. But, well, I'll have to think about it if it's Essex. And I thought, wow. I should never told him now. But it was fine. And Bob's been a great guy. There's no doubt about it. Fabulous chairman, and he let me go. And I went down to Essex. So that winter I was in. Actually, Yorkshire came in for me as well. Yorkshire came in for me. SO. Steve Oldham wrote to us to join Yorkshire. But
you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that.
It's a great club, isn't it? Great
cricket
club. But yeah, no, Essex were in for me. I knew the weather was a bit better. I had some good times at Chelmsford for England in the 19s. We won a test match down there against Australia, against Blewett, Martin. So I had good memories of Essex. It was hot. I remember being boiling hot, proper cricketing weather. And I'll be honest with you, Sam, I didn't know where Essex was. I knew it was towards London and left a bit. I really did not know where it was on the map at all. So from that aspect, I was fortunate enough to join them, and I got myself fit and ready for battle, I guess, 1994 when I come back from New Zealand. I spent the winter away from home, and I come back down, and I come home and saw Mum and Dad, got all my stuff together, and then I got the train from Lostock Station. I remember about 4 bags, and I was wearing a blazer, and I had 4 bags around me. Lostock Station, my mum dropping me off, and she still reminds me of that. She was so disappointed she couldn't drive me all the way down to Essex. But it was good because on that train ride, all I was thinking of in my own mind is, right, I'm going to make it. I'm not coming all this way just to enjoy myself. And I kind of changed because I was a bit of a social animal when I was younger, and I guess in Bolton you are because of the people, and going on a Ritzy on a Friday and Saturday night, and then trying to get 100 on the same weekend, you know, for your club side. You used to see all your teammates and people you played against in the nightclubs and pubs in Bolton on Bradshire, and it was a real life. But then I went down to Essex, and I'll be honest, we had a bit of fun now and again, but I was on that train and I was just determined to give it everything, and I cut down my whole lifestyle because I spent 5.5 hours on that train. It's 2.5 now. But we got derailed somewhere. We ended up going somewhere else. And I got to London, and I rang up from a phone box to let them know I was going to be late because they were meeting me at the ground. I think Graham Gooch and 1 or 2 were supposed to be meeting me, but I was going to be late. I didn't want them hanging on, especially Graham Gooch, you know. It was like mad. So just to mention, before I actually left for New Zealand, I hadn't signed a contract with Essex either. So I'd known, but they'd agreed it verbally.
Wow.
And I just accepted it. And I thought, well, if they back down on the word, I'll get a trial somewhere. And I hadn't even signed on the dotted line. They posted my contract out to New Zealand. I signed it and I sent it back.
Wow.
I'll never get done now. So then I arrived at London and I was late. So I put 20p in the old phone box and I rang up Essex County Cricket Club, 252420. I remember the number now, 01245. I rang it up and a guy answered the phone called Malcolm Field at the club. Never known him, obviously. I said, hello, sorry to disturb you. I said, my name's Ronnie Irani and I've got a contract. Oh, Ronnie? Yeah. Obviously in an Essex accent. Ronnie, all right, yeah, how are you doing? We're expecting you. And I thought, oh, no, God. Yeah, Graham Gooch and are expecting you. But don't worry. I said, I'm late. I'm not going to be on time. We've been derailed. I've had to go via Nottingham. And he said, oh, don't worry. I'll let Gooch know. But somebody will be here for you when you get here. I said, well, I'm going to be. He said, where are you? And I went, I was in London. I just went,
no idea.
I did a biology exam and I went, I'm at St Pancras Station. And he went, St Pancras? There's no such thing as pancreas. What do you mean your stomach? I said, well, no, pancreas. Yeah. I was like, I was in the south. I didn't have a clue where I was going. I ended up at Chelmsford. And I got a taxi from the train station at Chelmsford to the ground, which is literally a quarter of a mile, if that. Yeah. And I thought, wow, we're here already. So I went in. I had all my bags, and the dressing room attendant came and met me to get me bags. And he looked at me, went, Ronnie, the same attendant that I'd been England on 19s with at Chelmsford, where we beat Australia in the test match. And he went, Ronnie, I can't believe Lancashire let you go. He said, thank you for joining Essex. He said, the people are so excited to see you. I'm thinking, really? I don't think I've ever heard of it. Oh, I can't wait. And Essex is a cricket nut county. They know every young player around the country, no matter which county you're from. Yeah. They're mad about cricket. I'm passionate about cricket. And I came in and they welcomed me with open arms. I turned up for pre-season. I treated pre-season training like a trial. I got Graham Gooch out, LBW and bowled a couple of times in a practice game in the middle.
Did you send him off?
No, I didn't. I put my head down and just carried on because I was hoping he was going to pick me. I was never going to send him off because you've got to show respect if you want to get in way in life. So I sort of nipped him out, and the umpire who gave him out LBW was the dressing room attendant. The dressing room attendant was a qualified umpire, and I just nipped this one back, Terry Alderman style, big appeal. I thought he's never going to give him out. It's Gooch, he's the captain. He's our dressing room attendant. And he gave him out. Oh my word! And that's a big thing for you. No matter how things change in your life. So from that aspect, it's been great from me and my career and little things like that. And then I went on a bat and I got 60 off with a bat in this warm-up game. And I thought, I might have a chance here. But I was always going to start up in the second team. And then a practice game, Michael Kaspovich broke John Stevenson's finger in our last practice game. So John Stevenson was our batting all-rounder for Essex. So he missed out and I got my opportunity chance. I made my debut for Essex, I think it was down at Hampshire. And I did okay, bowled all right, batted all right, did okay. Got picked the next game against Worcestershire and I got a few wickets against Worcestershire on a helpful road at New Road. And then my second knock, I got my maiden 100 for Essex. Graham Gooch got a double 100. Gucci got a double 100 and I just stood and watched. I watched and learned for a whole day, watching him bat against swing, against pace, against spin. They had Phil Newport, they had Neil Radford, they had Richard Illingworth, left-arm spinner. And I just watched and learned. And as I was watching and learning, I was getting 100 at the same time and we won the game. And,
can't learn from any better than that, can you? Let's be honest. You know, you've had a fantastic person to sort of look up to, but I mean, obviously starting your first class career sort of 1990, fast forward to 2000, you assumed the captaincy at Essex, and you know I'm looking at some of the stats here. You've had a phenomenal career. You know, averaging over 40 in first class cricket. You've 20,000 runs list A in first class cricket. You know, you've been instrumental in bringing through some of you know, the country's top players, Alistair Cook, Will Jefferson, Ravi Bopara, and others. You know, there's a list as long as my arm. But one thing I want to sort of ask you about is obviously you've had the privilege and the honour to pull on the Three Lions and play for our great country. How did that come about, and what did it feel like?
Yeah, I'm very lucky, as you said, and privileged. And I had so 1994, 95, I had two really good seasons with Essex. I don't know how many runs. I may have got 1,000 runs each season. I'm not sure exactly, if I'm being honest. I think so. Because I had a couple of good seasons. You're not going to have a couple of duff seasons, are you? And then play for England 3 years later. And then I started off 96 and I was in the frame. So 95, I got picked. It was the winter 95. So I played a full season 94. And then I played a full season 95. I got runs on wickets, did really well for Essex. Obviously, Graham Gooch was seeing me do well. He would have let people know. Yeah. I'm this young cricketer we've signed. They were chuffed to bits and I fitted in well. Life was good. I got picked for an A tour in 95 to Pakistan. Nasser Hussain was captain, and we had to do some fabulous cricketers on that tour. And I went out there, and I did quite well out there as well. 95 as an all-rounder, got wickets, got a 5 for in one game, and got runs in another. Jason Gallion was out there on that as well. No, we had a really, really good tour in 95. And then 96 summer, I started off really well. I had an absolute gun start to my season, like runs and wickets proper in all forms of the game. And I was sharp. I was at my best, and I got the call up. I used to listen on the radio then whether you got picked for England. So it came on the radio on a Sunday morning that I'd been picked for England, and like, you didn't even get a heads up. Honestly, then again, no, we might have got a call an hour before it was announced. Might have got a call an hour before, but how they managed to ring everybody within that hour was mad, innit? Different times. So I got picked to make my Test debut against India at Edgbaston. So I had a little bit of a back injury, but I was okay-ish. I'd played for Essex, so that's fine. Looking back now, listen, I was picked to bat 6 and bowl a few overs. That's what I was there to do initially. And Edgbaston, playing against India, as you could imagine, it was like a bull ring. Absolutely unbelievable, because as we all know, the Indian cricketers are gods to their own. Yeah. And the Indian fans, they come out in their droves, and the atmosphere they create. It was like an away game. It really was. I mean, but then again, it was 50-50, because we know in Birmingham how they love the cricket as well in that area. So it was full on. It was absolutely full on. It was a bull ring, trust me. And I went out and made my debut, and we batted first on a wicket I did a bit. Atherton and I think it was Nick Knight. Did Nick Knight play in that game? I think he did. So we lost a few quick wickets. And Nasser was saying, edge one, I think it was down the leg side, or he nicked off and was given not out. And I went out to bat and we were struggling. And I reckon that was the best form of my life, 1996. I was in great touch. I spent the previous season with Mark Waugh, just watching at the end of Mark Waugh and Graham Gooch bat. Just watch and learn, watch and learn. That's what I say to all the youngsters now. If you can, just watch. Everyone wants to bat, everyone wants the ball. Watch and learn. Just copy what they do. And I spent 1995 batting and just following Mark Waugh around, because he obviously history with Edgerton and the Bolton League. Got on really well with him. I didn't know him then because he was older than me, but I knew him obviously when he joined Essex, and I just this confidence and belief. And I made my debut. I think first ball, a fourth or extra. No, must have been a bouncer. Everybody got a bouncer first ball. My first off the mark shot was an extra cover drive. I mean, it was, even I'm shocked. I've not seen it. I have to Google it. But it was textbook through the covers. Like, I can still remember the shot, but I'm sure it was off the mark. And then they just then wanted to bounce me, because you were making your debut. You used to get bouncers. And sure enough was quite quick. Abigail sure enough could get it through. He did me in the end. I gloved one in front of me north. I was about 38 off 40 odd balls. But I went for it because it was doing a bit, and they were attacking me, and they got us 4 down. NASA was blocking it at the other end and seeing it through, and usual stuff, giving me all the strike because it was doing a bit until the ball wore off a little bit. And I knocked the shine off. I took him to him. I was in. I can feel it now. I was in great form. All round game was good. But then I got a good lifter from Suriname, and I was gutted because naturally I'm 38, seeing it like a football. Who knows what could have gone and done? I just gloved one in front of my face and walked off disappointed. I didn't get a chance second innings because we won the game. We won the test match and beat India. So it was a good start, 1-0. Then we went to Lords, Dickie Bird's last test match, where he was crying his eyes out. Played in that test. And first things, I got a ball around my legs, weirdly enough, because it was swinging and seaming all around corners. And Graham Thorpe come out and I says, what's it like, Thorpe? And he goes, oh, it's doing all sorts. So I took middle and off to let the ball go. But I fell over, I slipped in my crease, and I've got a ball around my legs. I say I've got a ball around my legs. I think I hit middle stump, to be honest. This is mad, isn't it? Yeah. But I think, maybe I'd do myself a little injustice. It might have been leg stump. I've fallen over, and then second innings, I got 40-odd with the bat, saved the test match with Jack Russell, and we'd sort of, 1-0 up in the series. We were fine. We win that series. Went to Trent Bridge, and David Lloyd and Mike Atherton. So David Lloyd was my second team coach at Lancashire. Yeah. And I was getting all right with him, I think. We were fine. And Mike Atherton, obviously, Lancashire days, doing well. And I thought, right, okay, I've had 2 test matches. We won 1, drawn 1. I've helped save the test match at Lords. Batted long time with Jack Russell. Great, I'm all set here. And David Lloyd come up to me before the game with Mike Atherton at Trent Bridge. I'll never forget it. I can't believe it. And he said, have you got a minute? So we're all warming up and loosening up. We practiced the day before. And he said, oh, you've done brilliant, David Lloyd, as he is ultra positive. You've done brilliant. You've been fantastic. He said, 2 test matches. He said, brilliant start. You've looked in great form. Great. He said, but we're going to go with Mark Elam in this test match, the third one. And he said, and I said, well, why? I said, you just said I've done all right. Yeah, no other reason than we're just going to give him a go. We're going to give him a go because he's a good cricketer and he bowls a bit more than you do. And we feel it's a flat pitch, which it was. Oh, I'd banked myself now. I just dreamt I would be getting 100 on that wicket. Trust me. It was flat. It was not like Trent Bridges now. It was a biscuit brown, decent carry, and I was getting runs. And the square's massive at Trent Bridge. You just hit it on the square and it goes for 4. Anybody, Bolton lads, Warren Egg and Mike Watkins, they'll tell you, anything on Trent Bridge, you keep it on the square. Heading is the same. You keep it on the square, it just goes for 4. And I was just lining it up in my mind what I was going to do that test match. And they said, oh, we're just going to give him a go. Mark Elam got 40-odd, I think, and he did okay in the test match. And I thought, wow, that was like 2 test matches in. I played a 3rd test match in 1999 against New Zealand, the last test where we lost against New Zealand. I got some runs second innings, but I was a mad, crazy test match where we got beat. I hadn't played all series, and I just got thrown into the last test match, and I did all right, but nobody did. We got beat by New Zealand, and we got hung out, and I never played another test match after that, which is a shame. I went to Zimbabwe that winter. I made my debut, and my back had played up. I got a bad back injury, stress fracture, and I'd had an injection in it. I got to New Zealand and I was in good form again, but opportunity never came in test matches again after that, to be honest. But that was one of my best form. If they stuck with me at Trent Bridge, who knows? But you know what? I was fortunate. I was happy with it.
Just fine margins, isn't it? At that level, it's just such a fine margin.
One-day cricket, I guess I was leading the charge with Essex, and then there was so many good cricketers in one-day cricket. I guess I'd come in with England, and I'd bat wherever. I batted 3 for England and got 50, and got 5 in the same game against India in 2002, batting 3 and also first to second change, and then that was 2002. But my best cricketing time was 96 to maybe 2002. Yeah, that was when I was in my pomp. But before 2000, really, between 96 and 99, 2000, I was at my best. But I didn't play for England between 97 and 2002. I never got the opportunity. Others came in, and maybe it was. It's like anything else. It's who they fancy at the time. And unfortunately, I guess with David Lloyd and Mike Atherton, I wasn't all that fancied, and that's all right. That's allowed because I've also judged and I've done similar myself with certain players. So
I was just
it
going
is
to
what
ask
it
you.
is.
I was just going to ask you that. So I mean, fast forward to current day. Obviously, you know, you've had a great career. You've scored a shed full of runs. You've done very, very well for your county. Fast forward to current day. You know, what you're doing with yourself these days? What's the plan? What's happening?
Well, work-wise is different. I guess cricketing-wise, I'm chairman of cricket at Essex, or chairman of an advisory group. I'm on the executive board there. It's all voluntary, and I love it. I love it. I mean, I got involved back with them so when I retired from cricket, I was fortunate. I did 6 years on TalkSport Radio, doing the breakfast show with Alan Brazil. I say fortunate, I discovered booze again after that. We were drinking at 6 o'clock in the morning doing the radio show. That's how mad it was. We were drinking up, I was getting home at like 12, 1 o'clock. And I'm thinking, I'm getting a bit of a problem here. I'm going to have to go out seek help. But it was good old fashioned fun. I was going back to the days of growing up in Bolton, just drinking and having a good time. Good old fashioned fun. And then I realised after 9 months, I can't continue like this. I don't want to grow the size of Alan Brazil. He's a big bloke. Even though his character was fun and great, and we still get on. I spoke to him the other day. So I did the breakfast show for 5 or 6 years with Alan. We had record listening figures, went really well. Then the new program director come in, wanted to change things up and what have you, and different things were happening. So from there, new program director come in and basically bombed me off. One of a better phrase. I said about choice, didn't it? Selection of people. So then I stopped the media completely. I wanted to focus on my own business, which is an inner sole business. I do awful sole insoles. Quite a lot of people in the Bolton League get them. I keep having to give them discount if I'm not handing them out.
I've got some on now as we speak. I've got them in.
Great. Oh, don't worry. Contract for life, Sam. You're all right. Your dad, Larry, signing for life. Oh, brilliant. So then from doing my inner soul business, that's gone really well. I've got, I've had so many partners. I've got distribution around the world. I've got 2 patches in the Far East. And that's been an interest. It's been a really good journey. It's been amazing to get away from it a little bit. Bit of soul searching at times, but good. I needed it, to be fair. I just wanted to not become a recluse, but I've sort of listen, I've talked for so long tonight, nobody would probably believe it, but I'm all right with, people, not my own. I love people, but I think my business-wise it's been a great part of my life. It really has, and different in many ways. And then I set up an R&D business last year, research and development, R&D Advisors UK, last year regarding tax incentives for companies, corporate companies, because of government legislation that was put in. And I'm sounding clever and wise here, but somebody came and did it for my business. Okay. And I went, hold on a minute. I've ended up getting all that money. It's like, surely I got into legislation because they used to teach me at Smithers School that I should read everything that was put in front of me.
Yeah.
So I read up about it, and I bored myself to death for a while. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. I can help others out, and maybe I can make a bit of a living from it as well. And that's what I've done. I think we've picked up around about 12 to 14, 18 million pound worth of claims for corporate companies. Amazing. I deal with some guys that I've got some of the biggest companies in the UK because I know them. I've met them through sport or charity events or functions. Some people who supply Tesco's and you name it. But basically, people are on their own companies and getting them tax incentives from HMRC. And we work with the revenue, which is great because we do them a good job and a good service. And I've got a good team. 24 people work for us. Got a great business partner in Kevin, who's the expert in R&D. I just pretend sometimes.
Everyone's got to have a pretender. Everyone's got to have a pretender.
Yeah, I'm there and I show my face and I give him great introductions. So that again has been phenomenal. I mean, going into people's companies, businesses, see what they do. I know you do similar. Checking out what they do.
Yeah.
Listen, is it about money? Yeah, I suppose it is. We've got to earn as much money as we possibly can to enjoy. But I just love meeting people and knowing what they've done and what they're about. I'm a bit nosy like that and excited. I get quite excited about what other people have done with their own lives. And I guess people want to know what I've been up to, which is interesting because I remember sitting. So Jimmy Greaves used to come watching Essex all the time. And we've had some I've got some amazing stories of people who come watching cricket at Essex or you know, certain things we've got invited to. Some great stories I have to keep for another day, and we'll have to maybe put it as an 18 so people can actually listen.
That's it.
Oh, we've got a chat there. And but I remember Jimmy Greaves once sitting at Chelmsford, and my dad was like, you know, Jimmy Greaves is at the ground. I'm like, all right. He says, oh, the best centre forward ever. I'm like, really? And he wasn't even a Tottenham fan, my dad, as you know. But I'm like, was you like, oh, will I be able to meet? He says, yeah, no problem, Dad. I believe he comes here all the time. I was messaging it. So I went over to him, and he went, all right, Ronnie. And I'm like, all right. Hello, Jimmy. I remember saying Greavesy growing up as a kid. I didn't know him as a footballer. I thought it was just a bit of fun. Obviously, I knew he played football. I'd never seen him play. So I introduced myself. And I said, oh, Jimmy, this is my dad. Jimmy, meet Jimmy. And Jimmy went, oh, nice to meet you, Jimmy. And my dad went, all right. And my dad sat down, and then he always sat with him, I think, for another 3 or 4 seasons after that, chatting. And I used to go over and sit with my dad, whatever. But as an all-rounder, you don't never get much time because you're bowling and you're knackered. And then before you know it, 2 or 3 wickets down, you're out getting your pads on. But then the certain time I did have a wander down, I used to sit next to my dad, and all Essex supporters used to like, this cricket here. Well, we do that in league cricket, don't we? That's what we're brought up with. Not many county pros do that. They don't mix with the fans and supporters. So I went down and to see Jimmy Greaves. After I introduced him this first time to my dad, and then I'd gone, and I come back, and I go, Jimmy, saying Greavesy, and you know, what about your footballing career? I was interested. I wanted to talk to him. He went, no, what about your cricket? He said, I don't want to talk football. And I went, but you're Jimmy Greaves. He said, yeah, but I've always loved cricket more than football. Talk to me about cricket. Talk to me about Essex, and talk to me about this, and talk to me about that. He says, one of the worst times of my life was 1975 or 6 or whatever. Somebody sabotaged the wicket at the Oval, and he was going to go down there, and all sorts he was talking about was Greavesy, and it was wonderful. And yeah, from that aspect, I guess from where we are now and cricket and people mixing one another, I've been very, very fortunate. You know, chairman of cricket at Essex and the club itself, they are mad about cricket. Listen, they've not got the budget of Lancashire, Yorkshire, Surrey. We haven't got the budget compared to those guys. I mean, our wage budget compared to others is about 400,000, 500,000, 600,000, maybe 700,000, 800,000 a year less. But we have to punch above our weight, and that's what I've been brought up with. You know, when you're from Bolton and you want to go and try and make it in a sport, you've got to punch above your weight, and that's what I've done all my career, and that's what people do in Essex. They do. They know that, you know, the landscape is tough and hard out there, whether it's cricket or generally in life, and they go about punching above their weight to be successful and succeed. And I've just got back involved with Essex County Cricket Club after radio. I've got my own business, as I mentioned. I got involved 5 years ago, and Essex were doing nothing. They were Division 2, you know, not really doing a great deal. And I got back involved, and I look at the budget that we had to spend, and I said, listen, I could give it a go, but we're just going to carry on as we are. You just carry on. I'm not going to get involved. And they said, well, how much more money do you need? And I said, well, we're not going to spend the same of Surrey or Lancashire or Yorkshire. I said, but if you can get a few £100 more, but we'll give it a go. And we did, and I sussed out a few decent players. And, you know, I'd left a little bit of a, what's a legacy, but people knew me as captain, as a leader.
It's right, though. No, you're right. No, it's true. You've done phenomenal things, and they've been very successful.
The cup was still there. Ravi Bapara, Ryan Tenduscarter, they were my kids, you know what I mean? They were my boys that were coming through at the time. And, you know, I still used to go in and see them, but I wasn't really involved with them. And then they wanted to be me chairman of cricket. So I got back involved again, and I just rounded 1 or 2 players up, and I just changed the attitude. A couple of star names and players I just got rid of and moved them on, and they were like shocked, and it woke 1 or 2 up in our side and our squad by doing so. And we won Division 2 my first year. We won the county championship my second year. Came third my third year, and then so it's 1, 2, third year, fourth year. Was that last year? We done the double. So we've done all right. We've done okay in 4 years. 4 or 5 years. Yeah, about 5 years in total. I joined halfway through. I think it was 2015 or 16. I joined halfway through. And yeah, we've done really well. I've enjoyed it. It's a really good club. It's all about cricket. I mean, if you look at, you know, Essex and Chelmsford, right in the middle of the whole county. It's just surrounded by cricket. Football clubs is West Ham, obviously south of us, and Ipswich north of us. A little bit of Colchester United and stuff. And I get involved with a local football club, Bishop Stortford Football Club as well, which is great. I love my sport.
Yeah.
And just some top people, Simon. Honestly, people say to me, "Well, the people like in Essex," and I said, "Well, they're just like those people in Bolton." So, what do you mean by that? Apart from the accent, of course. What do you mean by that? I said, "Well, people in Essex, they stab you in the heart, not in the back. They tell you to your face, and if you don't like it, you've got to get over yourself and move on and learn from it." And that's what people like in Essex. They're honest, they're straight, they tell you as it is. If you don't like it, then learn from it. And if you don't learn from it, then go somewhere else. You move on. And that's not just the cricket club. I mean, the county in general. It's a fabulous place. I mean, I don't really get on much a great deal anymore. Mum and Dad obviously still there, but my life is down here now, and I loved every minute of it.
Superb. Ronnie, thank you very much for your time.
I got a bit long there for you.
No, listen,
edit that.
I could sit here for another 2 hours and chat sport and cricket.
We've not done 2 hours, have we?
No, not quite. But no, genuinely, I've really enjoyed it. Thanks very much for your time, and I'm pretty sure that we'll get some feedback from Twitter and what have you, and people just like hearing from people from Bolton who's done well. So
no, it's nice to say. I appreciate
well
it.
done,
and all those people who are tuning in the Bolton League area, and happy memories. I mean that sincerely. Like I said, I've done all right in the cricket in front, but my best times and the best memories of my life was growing up playing local league cricket in the Bolton area. It was absolutely phenomenal. And I came up against many a cricketer who were just as good, probably better than me, but I was fortunate. I was lucky. I made my own luck and got away. So from that aspect, no, thank you. Hope everybody's doing okay. We're all aging well. I bet everybody's aging just as much as me. We're all getting old. But no, it's good luck to everybody. Hope everybody's all right. Everybody stays safe and everybody tries to get through, because it's been a frustrating summer. Obviously, no cricket, but sometimes cricket is important, but we have to really look after each other. And hopefully, we'll get some cricket in, whether it's this year, but hopefully next year, we'll see. Fingers crossed. But good luck to everybody. I wish everybody well.
Brilliant. Ronnie, thanks for your time. That's been BCL Beyond the Boundary with Ronnie Irani, ex-Lancashire. Got it in this time. Lancashire, Essex and England. Cheers, Ron. Thank you.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.